Ladies and gentlemen, one of the hardest lessons I had to learn in life, and trust me, it took me a while, is that not everyone you lose is a loss. Sometimes it's a blessing wrapped in heartbreak. It's a breakthrough disguised as betrayal. And that, my friends, is what we call growth. We all know someone whose presence feels heavy, not just physically, but spiritually. Someone who drains your energy, sows seeds of doubt, and makes you question your worth. That's not love, that's not friendship, that's a test. One of the greatest acts of self-love is learning to set boundaries and learning to do it without guilt. Because guilt will try to creep in, it always does. It whispers that you're being selfish, too cold, too distant, too much. But let me remind you of something. Taking care of your peace is not selfish. It's sacred. For a long time, many of us were taught that love looks like self-sacrifice. That being a good person means saying yes when you're tired, giving when you're empty, and staying silent when something hurts. We were taught to shrink ourselves, to fit into spaces that were never designed for our wholeness. But that's not kindness. That's conditioning. That's survival. There comes a time when you have to stop apologizing for protecting your own well-being. You have to stop explaining why you can't be everything for everyone. You are not responsible for managing someone else's emotions at the cost of your own. Your needs matter. Your limits matter. Your soul was not designed to be a doormat for other people's dysfunction. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And when you keep showing up for people who keep tearing you down, you're silently telling them, this is okay. But it's not okay. Not anymore. Not this version of you. You don't have to yell. You don't have to fight. You don't even have to explain every boundary you place. You just say, nope, this doesn't work for me anymore. You can say, I need space. You can say, I'm choosing peace today. And here's the truth. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always be the ones most offended when you set them. Don't let that discomfort guilt you into silence. Their reaction is not your responsibility. You're not being cruel, you're being clear. And clarity is kindness, not just for you, but for them too. Because when you draw the line, you create a space where real, honest relationships can grow, not built on resentment, not built on performance, but built on truth. Setting boundaries isn't about building walls, it's about building bridges that only the worthy can cross. It's about choosing yourself, not in a way that dismisses others, but in a way that says, I can love you and still love me too. You're not choosing between being kind and being strong. Setting boundaries is the most loving strength there is. Sometimes you'll feel that guilt tugging at you, especially when someone pushes back, especially when you are always the one who said yes. You might feel that ache in your chest, that little voice that says, what if they leave? And maybe they will, but let them. Because the people who truly love you will respect your limits. They may not like them at first, but they'll learn to honor them. And the ones who leave, they were never holding space for your growth anyway. It's okay to disappoint people in the process of not disappointing yourself. It's okay to be misunderstood. You're not here to be consumed. You're here to be whole. And wholeness requires protection. You cannot bloom in soil that constantly gets trampled on. Your peace, your joy, your rest, these things are not optional. They are necessary, and boundaries are how you preserve them. So when guilt shows up, acknowledge it, but don't obey it. Let it know, I see you, but I'm still choosing me. Because a version of you that continues to let people overstep your spirit is tired, and she's done. She's ready to stand tall. She's ready to stop explaining her no. She's ready to stop over-explaining her yes. You don't need to yell to be heard. You don't need to cry to be taken seriously. All you need is the courage to say, this is what I need, this is what I can give, and this is what I won't allow. That's not selfish. That's sacred. And you deserve that. So keep choosing yourself over and over again, even when it's uncomfortable. Because your boundaries aren't a rejection of others. They're a deep and powerful acceptance of who you are, what you value, and what you're no longer willing to carry. And you don't need to feel guilty for that, not one bit. There's a difference between reacting and responding. And learning that difference can change your life. When you react, you're handing over your power. You're letting someone else's words, actions, or energy dictate your mood, your behavior, your peace. But when you respond, when you pause, when you breathe, when you choose to show up with intention instead of impulse, that's when you reclaim control. Life will test you. People will push your buttons, whether they mean to or not. Some will say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, or stir up something in you that's been buried for years. And in those moments, it's so easy to snap, to lash out, to match their energy, to meet fire with fire. But what good ever came from feeding the flames? All it does is burn you both. Responding is not weakness, it's not silence, it's strength wrapped in self-awareness. It's taking a sacred pause to ask yourself, is this really worth my peace? Is this fight going to feed my growth or just my ego? Reactions are fast, emotional, instinctive. They're rooted in wounds, in pain, in defense mechanisms you may not even realize you carry. A sharp word, a rolled eye, a slammed door, and suddenly, a moment becomes a mess. A relationship gets fractured, a bridge burns, all because of a split-second decision that didn't come from your true self, it came from your hurt. But when you respond, you move from a place of consciousness. You don't just speak, you choose your words. You don't just act, you align your actions with who you want to be, not just how you feel in that moment. That's maturity. That's growth. And that's what peace requires. You don't owe anyone your reaction. You don't have to answer every call to chaos. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence, when it's chosen, not in fear, not in passivity, but in power, is a full sentence. It says, I won't let this pull me out of character. I won't let you write the story of who I am. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotion. It means you give them space to breathe before you act on them. It means you recognize your triggers and take responsibility for your healing instead of expecting the world to walk on eggshells. Because the truth is, people will not always be kind, they will not always be fair, and they will not always speak from love, but you still get to choose how you show up. You don't have to match someone's disrespect just to prove a point. You don't need to clap back, drag them down, or win the argument. Sometimes the real victory is walking away with your dignity intact. Sometimes it's being the one who didn't let bitterness speak on your behalf. Sometimes it's choosing the higher road, even if it's lonelier, because peace doesn't always come with applause. The world teaches us that louder is stronger, that the last word is the win. But that's not truth. That's noise. Real strength is quiet. It's calm. It's a heart that refuses to be shaken by things it used to chase. Knowing that your energy is precious and not everyone deserves access to it. You'll learn over time that some people want a reaction more than a resolution. They want your buttons pushed, your spirit rattled, not because they hate you, but because they don't know how to handle your light. Don't give them that satisfaction. Be unshakable, be grounded, be the one who knows that not every battle is yours to fight. Responding means you hold space for your emotions without letting them control you. It means you can feel deeply and still choose wisely. You can hurt and still speak with grace. You can be disappointed and still walk away in love. And every time you choose to respond instead of react, you create more peace inside you, around you, in your relationships, in your life. You set a tone, you raise a standard, you show others and yourself what it looks like to be rooted, not rattled. So next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, pause, breathe, and remember who you are. You are not their chaos. You are not your anger. You are not your past pain dressed up in new triggers. You are peace. You are strength. You are someone who chooses presence over impulse. And that choice, over and over again, will set you free. One of the hardest truths we must face in life is that not everything that happens around us is a reflection of us. In fact, most of the time, other people's words, actions, and opinions have very little to do with us at all. They're a reflection of their own journey, their own struggles, and their own perceptions. But we live in a world that constantly blurs those lines. We're taught from a young age to take everything personally, to internalize every criticism, every snub, every misunderstanding, and let it dictate how we see ourselves. But that's not the truth. That's the trap. When someone criticizes you, belittles you, or treats you unfairly, it's easy to take it personally. It stings. It hurts. It leaves you questioning your worth. You wonder, what did I do wrong? You start to believe their words, their actions, or their attitudes are a direct attack on who you are, on your value. But here's the secret that will set you free. What they say about you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Most people speak from their own experiences, their own wounds, and their own biases. When they lash out, it's not about you. It's about their fears, their insecurities, their struggles that they haven't yet healed. And when you take it personally, you're allowing their unhealed pain to become your burden. You're allowing someone else's narrative to define your reality, but you don't have to. Taking things personally is a heavy weight to carry. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and prevents you from seeing things clearly. It traps you in cycles of self-doubt and resentment. It makes you second-guess yourself, question your choices, and replay conversations in your mind over and over again, wondering where you went wrong. But the truth is, you didn't go wrong. They did. When someone judges you, rejects you, or expresses their anger toward you, it's not a commentary on your worth. It's a reflection of where they are in their own journey. Maybe they are hurt, maybe they are scared, maybe they are angry with themselves, and you're just an outlet. You are not responsible for their feelings. You are not required to take on the burden of their emotions, their expectations, or their unresolved issues. Key to freeing yourself from taking things personally is to understand that everyone is fighting their own battle. Everyone is processing their own pain. People speak from the lens of their own experiences, which may have nothing to do with you or your situation. So when they lash out or criticize, remember this: their actions are a mirror of their own inner world. And the way they treat you is more about what's going on within them than anything you've done. You must also remember that you are not responsible for how others perceive you. You are not here to live up to someone else's standards, nor are you obligated to mold yourself to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. You are your own person. You are not here to meet every expectation, to fix every problem, or to make everyone happy. You are here to live your truth, to follow your own path, and to stay true to who you are, regardless of how others react. One of the most liberating shifts you can make in life is to separate yourself from others' judgments. It's realizing that you don't need validation from anyone else to feel worthy. You don't need approval from others to know your value. You are whole, complete, and enough, just as you are. So when people criticize, reject, or mistreat you, Choose to see it for what it is. It's not an attack on you. It's a sign that they have their own work to do. And you can't do their work for them. You can't heal their wounds. You can't fix their problems, but you can choose how you respond to them. You can choose to let their words and actions roll off you like water off a duck's back. Letting go of taking things personally doesn't mean you don't care about others. It doesn't mean you stop showing kindness or compassion. It just means you stop allowing other people's negative energy to dictate how you feel about yourself. You stop giving them power over your emotions. You stop allowing them to steal your peace. You stop believing that their judgments define your worth. The next time someone tries to hurt you with their words, their actions, or their attitudes, remind yourself, this is not about me. This is not my story to carry. Their opinion of me is none of my business. It's a freeing thought, isn't it? To realize that you don't have to internalize other people's projections, their anger, or their disappointments. You don't have to wear their wounds as your own. You get to choose what you take with you and what you leave behind. So let it go. Let go of the weight of other people's words. Let go of the need to please everyone. Let go of the need to explain yourself to those who don't understand you. You are enough, just as you are, and the more you believe that, the less you will be affected by the opinions of others. One of the most profound acts of when to walk away, it's not always easy, and it certainly isn't always popular. But walking away with grace when a situation, relationship, or environment no longer serves you is one of the most courageous choices you'll ever make. It takes wisdom to know when to hold on, and it takes even more wisdom to know when to let go. We often stay in situations far longer than we should. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a job that drains us, or a friendship that has become one-sided, we convince ourselves that we need to fight harder, give more, or keep trying. We're afraid of walking away because we're afraid of what it might mean: failure, disappointment, regret. But here's the truth. Walking away is not giving up. It's giving yourself the chance to grow, to heal, and to move towards something better. Sometimes the hardest part isn't even the act of walking away. It's the emotional toll, the feeling of being torn between love, loyalty, and the realization that you've outgrown something or someone. It's the guilt that accompanies making a decision that goes against your own emotional attachment. But you have to remind yourself that you cannot grow where you are no longer meant to be. Walking away with grace means knowing that you can leave without burning bridges. You can exit a situation, not with anger, bitterness, or drama, but with calm, clarity, and peace. It's about choosing your peace over pride, your well-being over ego, your future over your past. It means not allowing yourself to be dragged into unnecessary conflict or negativity, but instead choosing to walk away with dignity. It's important to remember that leaving doesn't mean you're weak. It means you are strong enough to recognize that your time, your energy, and your peace are precious. You are strong enough to understand that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from what's no longer aligned with who you are becoming. Walking away with grace requires self-respect. It's understanding that your value isn't determined by how much you can endure or how long you can tolerate unhealthy situations, but by how much you respect yourself enough to choose better for your life. Sometimes walking away means walking away from the people you love. And this is perhaps the hardest part, because we're taught that love means never walking away. But love isn't about enduring pain or sacrifice at your own expense. Love in its truest form is about caring for yourself. Enough to know that you deserve to be loved in a way that nurtures your soul, not diminishes it. Love is not supposed to hurt in the way that compromises your peace, your happiness, or your self-worth. If someone is unwilling to respect your boundaries, your values, or your essence, it's okay to walk away, even if it breaks your heart. Sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do for both you and for them. When you walk away with grace, it doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to say no more. It means that you respect your limits and refuse to continue to participate in something that drags you down, holds you back, or keeps you stuck. Grace is the ability to exit a situation with your head held high, knowing that you are doing what's best for you, even if it's painful or difficult in the moment. You don't have to explain yourself endlessly when you walk away. You don't have to justify your decision to anyone. The people who truly respect you will understand, even if they don't fully agree. You don't need validation to know that you've made the right choice. Sometimes you just know. You know that your peace, your well-being, and your joy are worth more than staying in a situation that no longer aligns with your values, your dreams, or your sense of self. There's also a certain strength in knowing when to cut ties. You don't have to engage in every battle or argument. You don't have to defend yourself or your decisions endlessly. Walking away with grace means you don't let others drag you into conflict. You choose peace over proving a point. You choose silence over shouting. You choose your future over rehashing the past. It's a quiet strength, one that doesn't need to be seen by others because it's deeply rooted in self-respect. When you walk away with grace, you show the world that you are not afraid to prioritize yourself. You show that you are not afraid to make difficult decisions because you trust that doing so will lead you toward a healthier, more fulfilling path. And ultimately, it's not about the people or situations you leave behind. It's about the life you are creating for yourself. So walk away when you need to. Walk away from situations that drain your spirit. Walk away from relationships that no longer serve you. Walk away from places that suffocate your soul, and walk away with grace, knowing that your future is waiting for you. Every step you take toward peace, toward healing, toward self-respect is a step closer to the life you are meant to live. And remember, you can walk away with love in your heart, with kindness in your words, and with strength in your steps. You can walk away without bitterness, without regret, and without shame. You can walk away and still carry with you the best parts of what was, while leaving behind what no longer serves you. In this fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept up in the chaos around us. The demands of daily life, the expectations placed on us by others, and the constant noise of the world can often drown out the one thing we need the most: peace. But true peace isn't something we can find in the midst of busyness or external approval. It's something we must choose, cultivate, and prioritize within ourselves. The decision to prioritize your peace is a powerful act of self-love. It's an acknowledgement that your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being is sacred and it's non-negotiable. Too often, we sacrifice our peace to meet the demands of others. We say yes when we mean no. We agree to things that drain us because we fear disappointing people. We give our time, our energy, and our focus to things and people that bring us nothing but stress and frustration. And in doing so, we lose touch with our most important relationship, the one with ourselves. But here's the truth. If you don't prioritize your peace, you will find yourself giving from an empty cup. And when that happens, you will feel exhausted, overwhelmed, and resentful. Prioritizing your peace doesn't mean shutting people out or retreating from the world. It means choosing to guard your inner calm in the face of external chaos. It means learning to say no without guilt, setting boundaries that protect your energy, and taking time for rest and self-care without feeling selfish. It's about recognizing that your peace is not something you have to earn or explain to others. It is a birthright, something you deserve simply because you exist. The world will constantly try to pull you in different directions. There will always be someone, something, or some situation that demands your attention, your time, and your energy, but you have to decide in every moment whether what you're being pulled toward aligns with your peace or disrupts it. Every choice you make should be measured against the question, does this bring me peace or does it take it away? If it takes, let it go. If it brings, welcome it with gratitude. In our culture, we've been conditioned to think that we must hustle nonstop, that we must always be productive, always be available, and always be giving. We've been told that rest is for the weak, that self-care is indulgent, and that putting ourselves first is selfish. But the truth is, we cannot pour from an empty cup. If we don't take the time to nourish ourselves, we won't have anything left to give to others. And this isn't about being selfish, it's about being responsible for your own well-being. Prioritizing your peace means knowing that when you take care of yourself, you show up better for everyone around you. You give with joy instead of obligation. You love with authenticity instead of burnout. You engage with the world from a place of abundance, not scarcity. One of the most important steps in prioritizing your peace is learning to say no. Saying no is not an act of rejection, it's an act of self-preservation. When you say no to things that don't align with your values or that drain your energy, you are choosing yourself. And there is nothing wrong with that. You don't need to apologize for protecting your peace. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you need to take a step back, rest, or simply be alone for a while. Your peace is yours to protect, and you have every right to safeguard it. Prioritizing your peace also means choosing your environment wisely. If you're constantly around people who bring negativity, drama, or stress into your life, you will never find lasting peace. Surround yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and inspire you. Seek out spaces and communities that support your growth, your well-being, and your happiness. You cannot thrive in an environment that constantly undermines your peace. It's so to walk away from situations and relationships that disturb your sense of calm. You are not responsible for managing other people's chaos. You are only responsible for protecting your own peace. Another powerful way to prioritize your peace is to create moments of stillness in your day. In a world that glorifies busy, stillness is revolutionary. It's in these moments of stillness, whether through meditation, quiet reflection, a walk in nature, or simply sitting in silence, that we reconnect with ourselves. We find clarity. We center ourselves. We hear the quiet voice within that always knows what's best for us. Make time for stillness in your daily life. It is in those moments that you will find the answers you need, the peace you crave, and the strength to continue moving forward. The decision to prioritize your peace is also about recognizing your own limits. There is only so much you can give, only so much you can do. Know when to stop, know when to rest, know when to let go. Don't wait until you're running on empty before you take a break. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed, burnt out, or on the edge of a breakdown to honor your own well-being. Prioritizing your peace is about recognizing that your well-being is just as important as your responsibilities and obligations. In the end, prioritizing your peace is a constant practice. It's something you have to choose again and again in every moment of your life. It's about creating a life that supports your inner calm, your happiness, and your sense of balance. It's about knowing that you don't have to do it all, be it all, or please everyone. You only have to be true to yourself. And when you do, peace will follow, has a way of throwing challenges our way, often leading us through painful experiences that can leave us feeling broken, betrayed, or misunderstood. These moments of hurt can be incredibly difficult to navigate. When we face disappointment, loss, or rejection, there is an instinctive urge to protect ourselves. And while it's natural to want to shield ourselves from further pain, we must remember one critical truth. Healing requires vulnerability, while hardening only keeps us stuck in the past. It's so easy to harden in the face of pain. When we experience hurt, whether it's from a person, a situation, or even our own choices, there's a tendency to build walls around our hearts. We tell ourselves that if we close off, if we shut out the world, we won't feel that same sting again. But here's the thing, hardening doesn't protect us from pain. It prevents us from experiencing the full range of human emotion. And in doing so, it also blocks us from healing. It's like trying to protect a wound by covering it with a heavy, suffocating bandage. It may stop the surface from showing, but it doesn't let the wound heal. To heal, we must be willing to face our pain head on. We must be willing to sit with our emotions no matter how uncomfortable they are. Healing doesn't come from avoidance, from pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Healing comes from embracing our vulnerability, allowing ourselves to grieve, to feel, and to process the hurt without judgment. It means acknowledging the pain for what it is and giving ourselves permission to heal at our own pace. But healing isn't just about feeling the pain, it's about releasing the grip it has on us. It's about making the conscious choice to not let the past define our future. When we harden, we let the pain take over our lives. We let it become who we are. We identify with our hurt, telling ourselves that we are defined by what happened to us. But healing requires us to separate who we are from the pain we've experienced. It requires us to believe that we are more than our struggles, more than our wounds, and more than our scars. When we heal, we learn to forgive, not necessarily for the sake of the person who hurt us, but for the sake of our own peace. Forgiveness is not about condoning the wrong that was done to us. It's about releasing the hold that the hurt has on our hearts. When we forgive, we let go of the weight we've been carrying. We free ourselves from the burden of bitterness, resentment, and anger. Forgiveness isn't a gift we give to others, it's a gift we give ourselves. It allows us to move forward, unencumbered by the past. Healing is also about learning to trust again. It's easy to let pain make us suspicious of others, to assume that everyone will hurt us, that we are not worthy of love or kindness. But hardening our hearts only isolates us, making it harder to form meaningful connections. Healing, on the other hand, invites us to believe in the possibility of new beginnings. It allows us to open ourselves to love again, to trust that not everyone will hurt us, and that we are deserving of genuine relationships. This doesn't mean we forget the lessons we've learned from our pain. Healing doesn't erase the past, it transforms it. It teaches us to grow from our struggles, to use them as stepping stones toward becoming a better, stronger version of ourselves. When we heal, we see the value in our experiences, even the painful ones. We realize that every challenge we face is an opportunity for growth, for resilience, and for deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. But if we choose to harden, we close ourselves off from these opportunities. We become bitter, cynical, and distrustful. We refuse to let go of the pain, and in doing so, we deny ourselves the chance to move forward. Hardening doesn't make us stronger, it makes us stagnant. It traps us in a cycle of hurt, leaving us unable to fully live or love. Healing, on the other hand, is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time event, but a journey. One that requires patience, compassion, and time. It's about being gentle with ourselves, understanding that it's okay to not have all the answers, to not be perfectly healed, to still have days where we struggle. But each day we choose healing over hardening. We move closer to the person we are meant to be. Choosing to heal means choosing to believe that we are worthy of peace, of love, and of happiness despite our pain. It's about reclaiming our power and our joy even after experiencing loss. Healing doesn't mean we'll never be hurt again, but it does mean we'll be stronger and more resilient when the next challenge comes our way. It means that no matter what happens, we will always have the ability to heal, to grow, and to rise again. So let go of the armor you've built around your heart. Take down the walls that protect you from feeling. Open yourself up to the possibility of healing and trust that in time, the pain will ease. Know that you are not the sum of your wounds. You are the sum of your strength, your resilience, and your willingness to heal. Heal, don't harden. And in doing so, you will not only transform your own life, but you will also become a light for others who are still learning to heal themselves.